Most financial disasters don't announce themselves with dramatic moments. They creep in silently through small decisions, passive choices, and ignored warning signs that compound over years into life-altering consequences. By the time you realize what's happened, you've lost a decade of wealth-building potential, trapped yourself in debt cycles, or sacrificed retirement security for lifestyle choices that provided temporary satisfaction. The cruel truth is that each decade of your life presents unique financial traps that look harmless in the moment, but become devastating over time. Your 30s are when lifestyle inflation quietly steals your future wealth. Your 40s are when complacency and neglect create gaps you'll struggle to fill. Your 50s are when past mistakes come due, and the margin for error vanishes completely. These aren't the obvious mistakes everyone warns you about: maxing out credit cards, missing payments, or buying things you obviously can't afford. Those are visible failures. The 21 mistakes we're exposing today are silent killers. The insurance you didn't update, the skills you stopped developing, the investments you never rebalanced, the conversations you avoided, the planning you postponed. What makes these mistakes particularly dangerous is that they feel like non-decisions. Not choosing feels safer than choosing wrong, so you do nothing, and that nothing compounds into financial catastrophe. The average person commits 7 to 10 of these mistakes without realizing it until the damage is irreversible. This video breaks down exactly which mistakes are destroying your financial future at each decade, and what you must do immediately to course correct before it's too late. Are you enjoying this video so far? And where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I love connecting with viewers globally. Your 30s represent the critical foundation-building decade, yet most people make catastrophic mistakes that seem harmless in the moment but compound into massive problems by their 40s and 50s. Lifestyle inflation. The first silent killer is lifestyle inflation, automatically increasing spending as income rises. You get promoted from $50,000 to $65,000 annually, and instead of maintaining your $40,000 lifestyle and investing the $15,000 difference, you upgrade your apartment, car, dining habits, and subscriptions. Your savings rate stays constant even as income grows, which means you're working harder but building wealth no faster. Research on financial mistakes shows that failing to control spending as income increases is one of the most common errors that prevents wealth accumulation. The psychological trap is that lifestyle upgrades feel like earned rewards for success, when they're actually penalties that delay financial freedom by years or decades. Insurance neglect. The second killer is neglecting insurance updates. In your 30s, life changes rapidly. Marriage, children, home purchases, career advancement. But most people never review insurance coverage to match new realities. You have $100,000 life insurance from your first job when you now have 2 kids, a mortgage, and a spouse depending on your income. One unexpected death leaves your family in financial ruin. Disability insurance is even more neglected, yet you're more likely to become disabled than die prematurely. Without adequate disability coverage, an injury or illness that prevents work can destroy decades of savings within months. The same applies to liability insurance, umbrella policies, and adequate health coverage. Most people are dramatically underinsured during the exact life stage when dependence and obligations are highest. Career stagnation. The third silent killer is career stagnation. Staying in comfortable roles without developing new skills or expanding earning potential. Your 30s are when skill development and career positioning create exponential income growth later. Yet many people stop learning, stop networking, and stop seeking advancement. They coast, thinking they have time. Financial advisors note that failing to invest in skills and career development during your 30s creates income ceilings that persist for decades. Every year you delay learning high-value skills or pursuing career advancement is a year of lost earning potential that compounds over your remaining working life. Delaying retirement contributions. Another critical mistake is delaying or minimizing retirement contributions. "I'll catch up later" seems reasonable at 32, but compound interest doesn't care about your intentions. Someone who invests $5,000 annually from age 25-35 then stops will have more at retirement than someone who invests $5,000 annually from age 35-65. even though the second person contributed $100,000 more. Time in the market is the asset you can never recover. Credit card debt accumulation. Carrying credit card balances in your 30s is wealth destruction. Paying 18% interest on $8,000 while investing in accounts earning 8% is mathematical insanity. You're losing 10% annually on that spread. Yet many people justify it as normal debt, while their investment accounts grow modestly and their debt grows faster. Emergency fund. Neglect, not building adequate emergency funds, 3 to 6 months expenses, means every unexpected cost triggers financial crisis or forces you to liquidate investments at the worst times. Your 30s bring higher expenses and more unpredictability. Adequate reserves aren't optional. These mistakes compound silently. You won't feel poor at 35 because of them. You'll feel poor at 50 when it's too late to easily recover. If you're recognizing these patterns and want to understand the mistakes destroying finances in your 40s and 50s, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. We're working toward 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps us expose these traps before they become irreversible. Thank you for being part of this community. Your 40s are the danger zone where complacency meets increasing complexity. Income is typically higher, but so are obligations, and the mistakes made here often can't be corrected later. Investment portfolio. Neglect. The first major mistake is failing to rebalance and adjust your investment portfolio as you age. The aggressive 90% stock allocation that made sense at 30 becomes dangerously risky at 45. A market crash that you could have recovered from with 20 years remaining becomes catastrophic with 10 years to retirement. Financial experts emphasize that your 40s require active portfolio management. Regularly rebalancing, gradually shifting toward more conservative allocations, diversifying beyond employer stock, and reviewing asset locations for tax efficiency. Yet most people set investments on autopilot in their 30s and never revisit them, leaving themselves exposed to risks they can no longer afford. Inadequate catch-up contributions. Not maximizing catch-up contributions available after age 50 is leaving free money on the table. Many people coast through their 40s with the same contribution rates from their 30s, not realizing this is their last chance to aggressively fund retirement before it arrives. Relationship financial blindness. Another silent killer is avoiding financial conversations with partners. Many couples reach their 40s never having discussed retirement goals, spending philosophies, debt levels, or financial fears. One partner might be saving aggressively while the other spends freely, creating invisible divergence that explodes into crisis later. The same blindness applies to aging parents and adult children. Not having conversations about parents' financial security, long-term care needs, or estate plans means you'll face these issues during crisis rather than planning proactively. Supporting adult children financially without clear boundaries can drain resources needed for your own retirement. Sandwich generation financial strain. The sandwich generation pressure, supporting both aging parents and adult children, hits hardest in your 40s. Trying to help everyone while funding your own retirement creates unsustainable strain. The mistake is taking on obligations without honest assessment of affordability and without setting boundaries. Career plateau. Without adaptation. Staying in careers that no longer offer growth or failing to adapt to industry changes is particularly dangerous in your 40s. Ageism becomes real, making career pivots harder. Those who don't continuously update skills or pivot before being forced to find themselves unemployable at premium salaries they've grown accustomed to. Lifestyle inflation round 2. Just as kids become more expensive, college looming, mortgages feel manageable, and career success arrives, the temptation to upgrade everything intensifies. Bigger homes, luxury cars, expensive vacations, all justified as finally enjoying success. But your 40s should be maximum savings years, not maximum spending years. Ignoring healthcare costs. Not planning for healthcare costs and failing to use HSAs, health savings accounts, optimally represents missed opportunities. Medical expenses accelerate after 40, and not budgeting for them or maximizing tax-advantaged healthcare savings creates gaps. Divorce, financial destruction. Going through divorce without understanding financial implications can destroy decades of accumulated wealth. Splitting assets, supporting two households on income that supported one, and legal costs often devastate both parties financially. Not reviewing beneficiaries and estate plans. Failing to update beneficiaries, wills, and estate plans as life changes means assets may not transfer as intended. Divorced spouses still listed as beneficiaries, outdated guardianship designations, or lack of powers of attorney create nightmares for families. These 40s mistakes are particularly painful because you're losing your highest earning years to complacency and avoidable errors when you should be maximizing wealth accumulation. Your 50s are when all previous mistakes come due and new traps emerge with devastating consequences. The margin for error has vanished. What you do now determines your entire retirement reality. Catastrophic retirement savings shortfalls. The most common mistake is reaching 50 with dramatically inadequate retirement savings. Financial planners suggest having 6x your annual salary saved by 50, yet many have less than 2x. The mistake isn't just the shortfall, but the delayed recognition and panic responses it triggers. Taking excessive investment risks to catch up, continuing work far longer than desired, or facing retirement poverty. Underestimating healthcare costs. Not planning adequately for healthcare costs from 50, 65, pre-Medicare, and beyond is financially catastrophic. Healthcare premiums for a couple in their early 60s can exceed $2,000 monthly. Long-term care costs average $100,000 annually. Most people dramatically underestimate these expenses, leaving retirement plans fatally underfunded, failing to maximize catch-up contributions. Not taking full advantage of catch-up contributions after 50 means leaving tens of thousands in tax-advantaged growth on the table. These higher contribution limits exist specifically to help people in their 50s accelerate savings, yet many don't use them. Overestimating work capacity. Assuming you'll work until 67 or beyond, when statistics show many people retire earlier due to health issues, caregiving needs, or involuntary job loss. Planning to work longer is not a retirement plan. It's a hope that often fails. Investment strategy too aggressive or conservative, being either too aggressive, exposing yourself to market crashes you can't recover from, or too conservative, earning returns too low to sustain retirement with your portfolio. Your 50s require careful balance. Enough growth to sustain decades of retirement, but enough stability to protect what you've built. Social security. Claiming mistakes. Not understanding optimal Social Security claiming strategies costs tens of thousands over retirement. Claiming at 62 instead of 70 can reduce lifetime benefits by 40% plus for those who live into their 80s, 90s. Most people claim early without analyzing break-even points or spousal benefit optimization. Empty nest lifestyle. Inflation. When kids move out, many increase spending dramatically. Upgrading homes, traveling extensively, buying luxury items, burning through savings that should fund the next 30 years. The empty nest should trigger savings acceleration, not spending acceleration. Neglecting estate planning. Not having proper wills, trusts, powers of attorney, healthcare directives, and beneficiary coordination means your assets may not transfer as intended. Estate taxes, probate costs, and family conflicts can consume assets you worked decades to build. Ignoring long-term care planning. Not purchasing long-term care insurance or self-funding alternatives means one spouse's care needs can impoverish the other. Medicaid planning done too late loses effectiveness due to look-back periods. Bailing out. Adult children. Continuing to provide substantial financial support to adult children when you're nearing retirement jeopardizes your own security. You can't borrow for retirement, but your children can borrow for their needs. Not reviewing fixed income transition. Failing to plan the transition from accumulation to income. Drawdown strategies means potentially running out of money or living too conservatively and unnecessarily restricting lifestyle. The mistakes of your 50s aren't just costly. They're often irreversible. Time, compound growth, and earning capacity are assets you've spent, and what remains determines your entire retirement reality.